You know what I realized the most as I was planning this list was, like, especially for the Disneyland versus Disney World, it's been too long since I've been to either. It's time to go back.
It 100% has. I've been thinking that a lot lately, too.
Your cat's licking herself on camera. I'm going to have to censor that. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Disney Top 3. This is the series where we list numbers 1 through 3 and 3 through 1. And sometimes we pick the numbers in between. And if you want, like, we break it down into, like, 2.5 and 2.7. And we do it for all sorts of things Disney-related. And we've done pre-show already. So I thought it'd be fun if we did the top 3 post-shows in Disney World. Christine, hi, welcome back.
Hello.
I hope all is well.
It is. We have our special guest.
Special guest Shmee the cat.
Right there.
Boom. So yeah, we have so like we mentioned before we started recording, we had to sort of clarify that, like, it doesn't necessarily mean show as much as just like the post-ride area, right?
Yeah, because I think we realized that there aren't a lot of rides with post-show, if you think of it in that definition. But there's plenty that, you know, might have something that's appealing to us that isn't quite a show, but we think should be on this list.
Exactly. So why don't we kick it off with your number 3? I don't know anything on your list. You don't know anything on mine.
You know one thing on my list. That's about it.
Oh, so you kept that one. Okay.
Yes,
so I know one thing on your list. Okay.
So my number 3 is in the Magic Kingdom.
Tiki Room.
Yes.
It's Aladdin's Magic Carpet Ride.
Yeah, great post show. Spinning camel, you know. No,
Teacups.
My favorite, I guess we will call it post ride. It's not really a post show. Is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
And the reason I thought of that was because it is so. Yes, you leave Pirates and you end up in a store, like a lot of other. You know,
like many of them, right?
But generally, most stores are just kind of beeline through. I'm just like, okay, I've seen a lot of this before, or whatever. For some reason, with Pirates, no matter who I'm with, there's always like a stop and let's shoot each other with pirate guns moment. Like there's always like a want to pick up the swords and like be stupid with them.
Be pirates.
No. It's like the only, and I feel like it's almost become part of the experience of the ride for me.
Okay.
I know last time I went, like, I think they had, like, there was, like, new gun, like, there was old stuff that they've always carried, and then they have, like, some new stuff, and I literally spent, like, 10 minutes just, like, walking around, playing around with guns, and I don't know why. It's just, like, that particular store appeals to me, and I feel like that whole, like, fooling around, having a sword fight in the middle of the store kind of thing has become, I don't know, part of my
It's funny you mention that. Because that was almost my number 3 as well, but for a different reason.
Interesting.
And for me, it was more of, I really appreciate the design of that area. Because most of the time, it's an enclosed, indoors shop. It's, you know, a lot of them retain a lot of the theming from the ride, but not so much. It's more of a shop. But here, it's that sort of like, you know, that Caribbean, Floridian, Southern California, like, open space. I don't know what you even call that area.
An open market.
I guess, yeah. It kind of looks like an open market, semi-covered, semi-open. And it's just, like, a beautifully themed area. Like, you could actually take all the, like, material, all the shelves out and all the merch and, like, put chairs and tables, and it would be a great space to, like, you know, put a food location or just places to sit and hang out. It's just, like, a really nice themed area. And also, I remember they always have the giant treasure chest full of plastic jewels.
Yes.
And I remembered as I got older, I went from like, look at all the things. It's a box with so much stuff to like, oh man, how many kids' hands have been just like in that thing? It's
like the marble.
It's a petri dish. Yeah.
The marble door in Rock and Roller Coaster.
Exactly. But that's a good pick. My number 3 is in Hollywood Studios, and it is the Tower of Terror. And I picked the Tower of Terror, again, that's another one. There's not much of a post-show.
Right.
The theming, I think, of the area is kind of nice. It's sort of like every other ride in Disney just leads into a gift shop. It loses points for those bellhop bells, because every child is just instinctually runs up and just hits all of them. But what I really like about it is, and this is the part that made it an interesting top 3 for me, because it made me wonder what do I think is good in a post show. And I think the location's great. The way it sort of, I feel like a lot of these big rides just spit you out right into the middle of everything. It's just like, boom, you're back in the crowds. You're back in this big main thoroughfare going back through all these areas. But with Tower of Terror, it sort of spits you out in this like little back courtyard area. And you have to actually walk along a pathway a ways just to get back to Sunset Boulevard. And to me, I think that's cool because it might not necessarily have been intentional on their part, but I feel like it eases you back into the crowds of the park. And I thought that was just a great design. And, you know, that's just one of the areas I like going through whenever I'm done with that ride. And you walk past the entrance before you hit Sunset Boulevard. So if you want to go like, oh, let's go on it again, it's right there. Temptation's thrown right in your face.
My number 2 is the one.
Cameras this way. I
know. I'm thinking. That was my thought. That was my thinking off to the side moment. My number 2, because I was trying to figure out how I'm ordering these two, is Spaceship Earth.
Okay.
And Spaceship Earth kind of does have a post-show thing. Like, you answer those questions on the ride about your future, and so while you're still on the ride, you get that whole video back of, like, here's your future based on, like, the questions you answered. So I guess it's still technically part of the ride, but I almost think of it as like post-show, right? Because it's something that was introduced to you when you started the ride and then kind of wraps it up after as you're coming back into the thing. And then after, you go out into that big area where you can see the picture of yourself and whoever you're with up on the screens, and you can send the postcards out, and then they have all those cool interactive games that I know you and Peter got really into.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool interactive space, and it's big, which I like because it gives a lot of space for people to just kind of spread out and do what they want to do. And it's because it's so big, it's kind of easy to get on one of those games. And I just like it. Like, I could spend some time in there before I actually keep moving on. Where, like, some rides you get off and you're like, okay, on to the next thing.
Right.
But I feel like with Spaceship Earth, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to hang out here for like 15 minutes and like check everything out.
That almost made my list too. My one hang up with it, and I love the idea that they put things there to incentivize you to stay there. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it's trying to slow you down. You know how they make those like dog bowls with like all the things in it, so it forces them to eat slower?
Yes.
That's like the Disney equivalent of like, look at all these games, look at all these distractions. No, don't rush to Soarin', please stop, slow down. The thing that prevented me from putting it on my list was like, none of it has to do with the ride. Like, Spaceship Earth is a ride about the history of communications. Mm-hmm. And like, we were having fun with those games, but that was a game where we were shuffleboarding like power discs to energy discs. It just seems so random. The other one, like, you're driving a futuristic car, but like, I really like where the idea is and where that goes. So I feel like it gets an honorable mention in my book.
Okay.
My number 2 is not too far off though. It's at Test Track. And that was actually our last trip was the first time I got to experience the new post-show area. I don't care about the cars that are like all on display. They're all, I don't care about cars. But it follows that same idea of it's adding these interactive elements to sort of slow you down a bit, enjoy areas outside of the ride that are still sort of part of the ride. And the reason why I think this is better than Spaceship Earth is because it has a direct correlation to the ride in a very interactive way. Yeah. Because the idea is, at the beginning of the attraction, you're designing your own car and you link it to your Magic Band, and then it plays a part in the ride itself. But then afterwards, you get to continue to use that car you designed in all those interactive elements. You could make a car commercial with your car in it. You could load your car into like this little top-down racing game and race around in it. I think that's really cool. And I think that's like an amazing example of what they can do with the Magic Bands to take a ride experience and extend it and sort of slow you down. So you don't rush to Soarin'. Stop running to Soarin'.
It's not worth it, guys.
It's okay.
That almost made my list. You know why? It just didn't, because I think it just doesn't personally appeal to me. Mm-hmm. Like, the whole car thing. The ride is fun. I like the ride. But, like, after that, I just don't care enough about cars in any real way to, like, stop and interact with it. But I do think that it is very well done.
Yeah, and it gives it, like, similar to Spaceship Earth, it gives it enough space. It's not like this little dinky, we threw in a kiosk over there, go interact with it. You know, it feels like there was a lot dedicated to it. So that's my number 2. Your number 1.
Okay, so my number 1.
I hope it's not the same as my number 1.
Because but it's not really
man.
cheating. I don't think.
What?
Well, Finding Nemo. Because after you get off the Finding Nemo ride, you are in the seas.
It's the ultimate post show.
It's the ultimate post show.
Okay. That's a clever... No, that's a really good pick.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You go through the ride and you step off the ride and now you're in this awesome aquarium. The last time I went, Peter and I were lucky to catch... They were doing a show on how they train their dolphins. Which I have on video. It will be on a future video for sure. Which was so cool, and just like the whole area is like amazing. But technically, it's post-show, right? I mean... Or is it cheating because it's actually the best pre-show for the seas is Finding Nemo? Oh, so you're saying Finding Nemo is the pre-show?
Is the pre-show to the seas.
And the seas is the show.
Yeah.
The thing.
I don't know.
We're
gonna have to ask the viewers what they think.
Nemo is the ride. It is a ride. It is
That's a pretty awesome pre-show.
I don't know. I guess we will have to ask.
Would that mean Turtle Talk with Crush is technically part of the post-show, or are we just talking about the area?
I think I'm talking about the area.
Okay.
I mean, if you're adding Turtle Talk, I mean, forget it. I win. Automatic.
That's true. That would make it the best post-show. That's a good first pick.
Or maybe the post-show really is when you're walking back. Well, it's the same thing when you're walking in. But I was going to say when you're walking out and you see the seagulls. But
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Or just the blinding light. You're adjusting to the blinding Orlando sun because you've been indoors for the past 35 minutes. That's a good number 1. My number 1 is it's in the Magic Kingdom, and it is not as clever as your number 1, but it is Space Mountain. And I feel like that's the only one where it feels like there's a real, and at least in the Magic Kingdom that comes to mind, a real post show. And that's just like out of necessity, right? Because like you get off Space Mountain, you're like underground, and you need to walk up that super long ramp. And they were smart enough to realize like they should put something there. And there are 2 aspects to it. There's the little scenes that you walk past, and then there's the green screen. Yeah. The green screen in the 90s was amazing because that was still technology that you just today like you just grab a green piece of oak tag and a webcam and you could do green screen. But in the 90s, that wasn't something everybody had access to. That was incredible. Yeah. For me, it's the scenes that you walk past. And it's part of my favorite post show, partially because of nostalgia, obviously. But I think for me, it's a great representation of what I think Tomorrowland was originally before we were even born. When it was all about what tomorrow could be. And that was what it was. It was showing you all these far off places and trying to put this idea in your head. Oh, look what the future's going to be like. We're going to be living on these really scary looking planets. But hey, FedEx will go there. And I just think that's great.
Why you said that was so funny.
Laser ship, not so much.
No, and you would think with a name like that,
yeah,
most people deliver to planet.
No, in the future, laser ship will just shoot your package with lasers until it's broken. Laser ship. I should cut this out so they don't get the publicity.
You probably should.
So that's my number 1. I just feel like I don't know. I love those little scenes. I wish there were more of those throughout the parks, not necessarily with the sci-fi stuff, just like little miniature dioramas. If not, then like why do we as kids ever build dioramas if not for practice for like these real life dioramas? Right. Life doesn't have enough of them. I
just thought of a really good honorable mention that I didn't even think of in my top 3 originally.
Throw it in there.
Be Star Tours.
Yeah.
I just love the shop too. It's the same thing. It's like a cool. Obviously, I love all Star Wars merchandise, but also it just feels like you're walking out on Tatooine, and then you walk outside, and it still has that theming, and it's cool, and I like it. So.
Yeah. And it feels like you're on Tatooine, and then you walk outside, and it's 95 degrees in Orlando, so it feels like you're on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Perfect, right? All right, so there you have it. Our top 3 post-show areas. What I would love to hear is what are your top 3 post-show areas? Maybe some of these made the list. Maybe you have a whole other list that we didn't think of. Maybe we're forgetting something. Cirque du Soleil post-show. Do they have a post-show? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. And let us know if you have an idea for a top 3 that you'd like to see us tackle next. Also, if you like Disney videos and gaming videos, you should check out Christine's channel. This is the time, Christine, where you plug all of your stuff. Plug it.
Plug it. It is Ivy Winter is my YouTube channel name. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Ivy Winter YT.
Yeah.
So you should do that.
You're still coming out with Disney vlogs.
I am.
You're trickle. That's a slow trickle.
It is a slow trickle. I don't know. I like to put them
But
out
hey,
parts.
everyone's you get your Disney. I get my Disney fix when you post them.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I only got through day 1. I have some good footage.
Oh my gosh,
I really
that's
do.
crazy.
From parasailing, from the dolphin thing we talked about.
So basically, we can expect vlogs evenly until your next trip in 2017. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you all for watching. Whatever you do this week, make the most of it because it makes it that much better. And I hope to see you all next time for the next Disney Top 3. Bye, everybody.